Hi everyone. The story I tell is about the beautiful girl was forced by her father and stepmother to marry in place of her younger sister. She was forced to marry a wealthy young man with a disability. In a dazed state, she heard the voices of several people speaking to her. Ruin Hanqing, I'm telling you, whether you want to or not, you must get married today. In the end, are you even listening to me? Growing up in a laborer's neighborhood, you clearly have no manners at all. The girl, still dizzy after just waking up, paid no mind to the humiliating words spoken continuously by the people in the room. She hurriedly ran into the bathroom and slammed the door shut. Standing in front of the mirror, she looked carefully at herself. Staring into the mirror, she couldn't believe it. This was her, 20 years old, and she was dumbfounded to realize she had been reincarnated. She was the eldest daughter of the Ruin family. As Ruin Hanqing stood staring at herself in the mirror, she overheard her younger sister's sweet voice speaking to their father. "Father, don't be angry anymore. My sister just woke up, so she's probably still upset. Please don't be mad and try to talk to her calmly." Ruin Hanqing's biological father, Ruin Traikming, and her younger sister, Ruin V2, were in the room. At this moment, Ruin Hanqing pushed the door open, her face slightly angry, and said, "How could I have manners? Who doesn't know that I, Ruin Hanqing, am a child with a mother but no father? Tell me, isn't that right? While my dear mother was pregnant, this man, my so-called father, cheated on her. Just before she was about to give birth, the mistress even came to our house, causing my mother to die from childbirth complications and hemorrhaging. After the first wife was provoked to death, this man immediately married that mistress. 3 months later, she gave birth to my younger sister, Ruin V2. And as for me? I was thrown to my grandmother, and he never cared about me again. Gradually, I grew up making a living by scavenging. When I turned 20, this father finally came looking for me. Oh, hearing this, I can rank him among the worst fathers I've ever known." At this point, the father, feeling embarrassed and furious, shouted and raised his hand to strike Ruin Hanqing. "Of course, no one disciplined you when you were young. Is this how you speak to your father?" As his hand was about to land to teach his daughter, Ruin Hanqing caught it. "I've been fighting in the slums since I was little. Compared to Ruin V2, I've probably called your name in a fight more times than she's ever called you father." The stepmother feigned concern as she took Hanqing's arm and said, "Hanqing, this is your father. Be a good girl and listen to him. Marrying the eldest son of the Hack family isn't such a bad thing." As soon as the words left her mouth, Hanqing slapped her stepmother across the face. In anger, she said, "Ruin Hanqing, what do you think you're doing? We're giving you such a great opportunity, and you don't even know how to be grateful." Ruin Hanqing simply laughed and replied, "If the Hack family is really that great, why don't you marry Ruin V2 to him? Don't act all high and mighty in front of me. I'm uneducated, and whenever I get angry, I hit people." In her mind, she began recalling her previous life. Ruin V2 had been engaged to the eldest son of the Hack family. 6 months ago, he had a car accident, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down. The family business became a mere shell of its former self, with nothing left. They didn't dare cancel the engagement for fear of angering the Hack family, but they couldn't bear to marry off their precious daughter either. So, they decided to push me into it instead. In my past life, I refused to marry in her place, but in a fit of rage, I ended up marrying a wealthy second-generation heir. In the end, he cheated on me, and both my grandmother and I met untimely deaths because of it. In my previous life, I took the wrong path, but in this life, no matter who young Master Hack is, I just want to protect my loved ones and live a peaceful life." While thinking about my past life, my younger sister, with her sweet, innocent facade, spoke up, "Sister, how could you act like that? Our parents are elders, how can you raise your hand against them?" Hearing this, Ruin Hanqing chuckled coldly, crossing her arms over her chest, and replied, "Ruin V2, you'd better shut your mouth too. You and your mother, one is an old white lotus, and the other is a green tea bitch, neither of you are anything good." Her father, who was comforting his enraged wife, then questioned Hanqing in a commanding tone, "What will it take for you to be satisfied? Don't you know what's good for you? You'll never be good enough for the Hack family. You'll be married there in 2 days, do you hear me, Hanqing?" Since she had chosen the wrong person in her past life, she wanted to change her fate in this one. So, she didn't oppose the marriage but instead set her conditions. "If you want me to marry, that's fine. I want a house in the Western District, and on top of that, I need 1 million. If it's less than that, there's no point in discussing this further." Her father, angry as if he had been betrayed by the very daughter he had raised, shouted, "You ungrateful brat." Before he could finish, the stepmother, delighted as if she had just won the lottery, interrupted with a smile, "Give it to her. Give it to her. How could we marry off our daughter without a dowry, right? Trake Ming, if Han Qing wants it, just give it to her. Seeing that both sides had achieved what they wanted, Han Qing smirked and said, all right, it's settled then. Now leave quickly. My grandmother will be home soon, and I don't want her to see you and get upset. But, just as she feared, what she dreaded came true. The moment the three were about to leave, Han Qing's grandmother stood at the door. Seeing her despicable son-in-law inside her home, she angrily asked, Ruin Trake Ming, what are you doing here? After being reincarnated and seeing that her grandmother was still alive, Han Qing was overjoyed and rushed to hug her. She said, Grandma, Ruin Trake Ming has agreed to give me a house and some money. We won't have to worry about money anymore. Hearing this, her grandmother anxiously asked, what did you do? His money can't be that easy to take. What have you agreed to? Ruin Han Qing's father, trying to defend himself as if wrongly accused, replied, the eldest son of the Hack family is both talented and wealthy. What's there to complain about in a life of luxury? Han Qing will be living a blessed life once she marries into that family. Hearing this, Han Qing interrupted her father, speaking with firm resolve, enough with the talking. I've already agreed to your terms. Once the things are delivered, I'll marry. A few days later, Ruin Han Qing arrived at the Hack family mansion. As she entered, the butler greeted her and led her to the door of Hack Cham's room, saying, young master hasn't left his room for a long time. Miss Ruin, please take a look. At that moment, Han Qing pushed the door open, saying as she entered, if Mr. Hack has no objections, I'll come in. For the first time, she met her husband. Before her stood Hack Cham, with a cold expression, sitting in a wheelchair in a room devoid of sunlight. She said, Mr. Hack, since this is our first meeting, I think we should get to know each other a little. Hack Cham, with his handsome but icy face and eyes filled with hostility, responded, get out. For someone with a weaker heart, seeing his cold face and hearing those words might have been enough to make them flee, but this was Han Qing, a strong girl. Hearing his words, her face remained smiling as she replied, Mr. Hack, we're going to be family from now on. No matter what, we should get to know each other a bit, right? As she spoke, she pulled open the curtains, letting sunlight into the room, and introduced herself again, I'm your newlywed wife, Ruin Han Qing. On her first day at her new husband's house, she was coldly told by him, I don't need a wife. Then, he handed her a black card, telling her that if she was after money, the card had more than enough. If not, the money would still be enough to cover her living expenses. Afterward, her aloof husband repeated, I don't need a wife. The girl just smiled, then walked closer to him and said, thanks to the power of the Hack family, even though you didn't personally go, we've already registered our marriage. Legally speaking, we're now husband and wife. The man glared at her and said, if you're not here for the money, then this should be enough to cover your living expenses. With that, he handed her the VIP card. Instead of getting angry, the girl cheerfully accepted the card and asked with a smile, so, I can spend this however I like? Coincidentally, I've been thinking about making some investments recently. How about I borrow the money from this card, and when we make a profit, we split it 50-50. Seeing this, Hack Cham showed no interest, leaving her with only one remark, stay out of trouble and don't bother me. As they were talking, the butler hurried in, holding a baseball bat in his hands, saying, Sir, the third young master is fighting at school. The other party is furious and is charging towards the house, demanding an explanation from us. Hearing this, Han Qing thought of the third young master, Hack Qianqian. Most of the Hack family were women. Ever since the family's only male pillar was paralyzed, the entire family had been in chaos. If things continued like this, the Hack family would fall apart sooner or later, and she'd be dragged down with them. Cherishing her life after being reborn, she didn't want anything to harm her. She took the baseball bat from the butler, turned, and started heading downstairs, saying, since we're family, I'll take care of it. Hack Cham was surprised by her use of the word family. Meanwhile, the butler was sweating nervously, full of doubt. In the living room, the second young master of the Wu Corporation, Wu Yi, and the third young master of the Hack family, Hack Qianqian, were in the middle of a heated argument. Hack third master, have you lost your mind? It's a fact that your older brother is crippled, so what if I mention it? If you apologize to me today, I'll forgive you. After all, there's no one in the family to discipline you, so why are you being so stubborn? Hearing this, Han Qing slowly approached, holding a baseball bat and swinging it as she asked, who told you people you could come to someone else's house and make a racket? The two arguing individuals were puzzled about who was speaking. Han Qing then said, Hack Qianqian, it's our first time meeting, I am your sister-in-law, Ruin Han Qing. Hack Qianqian, who was known for being disrespectful and rude, responded with an arrogant tone, don't think just because you married my older brother, you can boss me around. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a loud bang. Han Qing had slammed the baseball bat into the wall with such force that it left a huge crack. With the face of a domineering woman, she glared at him and asked, "Humph, what did you just say?" The two young men who had been fiercely arguing moments before were now trembling in fear. Wu Yi stammered, "What do you think you're doing? I'll have you know, my brother is on his way here." At this point, Hak Qianqian's attitude had changed completely. He was now full of respect and flattery, stuttering, "Sister-in-law, you're my most beloved sister-in-law." Hak Cham, sitting upstairs, was wondering what kind of earthquake had just happened. Meanwhile, Han Qing sat down on the sofa, arms crossed, watching the two young men shaking in fear. The butler quickly scribbled in his notes while tidying up the living room, thinking to himself, "Madam Hak truly has some serious skills, managing to handle these two little tyrants so effortlessly." Just then, Wu Yi's older brother walked through the door and said, "It seems like Madam is showing no respect for my Wu's family." Seeing his older brother arrive, the younger one frantically waved his arms and urgently said, "Brother, stop talking. Just take me home already." Han Qing calmly remained seated on the sofa and casually replied, "It's just some youngsters in the house causing trouble. How could this be about showing or not showing respect?" Wu Yi's older brother, intrigued by her response, leaned in, picked up a lock of Han Qing's hair, and toyed with it as he smiled playfully, saying, "True enough, if someone as beautiful as Madam Hak says I'm wrong, then naturally, I must be at fault." Han Qing's face darkened, and she managed to say just one word, "You." At that moment, Hak Cham, having been wheeled into the living room by someone, interrupted her, "Wu General, how interesting. Why don't you go argue right and wrong with Hak Qianqian and the others?" Seeing Hak Cham, Wu General Director quickly grabbed his younger brother to shield himself. "Oh, Hak General Director, are you suggesting I'm making things difficult for Madam? How could that be? After all, it's just a matter concerning these young brats. I'll leave the boy to your discretion." Hak Cham said, "Then let Madam take her revenge. Take him away and tell someone to bring a new baseball bat for Madam." While Hak Cham spoke one way, he was thinking something entirely different. Who was it that just met my wife and said I didn't need her, even acting as if he was tired of her? Now he's scared she might be wronged and is stepping in to protect her. Han Qing just laughed because, after all, she wasn't really being bullied. After only a couple of words, this man already wanted to make things right for her. He was certainly skilled at defending her. On the other side, Wu General enthusiastically told Han Qing that she could teach his younger brother a lesson without needing to worry about showing him any respect. Meanwhile, his younger brother was starting to question his entire existence. Han Qing, not wanting to dirty her hands on this kid, simply smiled and said, "Children who don't listen just need a good beating to behave. What do you think, Wu General? Isn't that right?" Hearing this, Wu General was stunned while the younger brother cried out for help. Since Wu General didn't take any action, Han Qing asked, "Or do you feel too soft-hearted?" Wu General quickly replied, "How could that be?" And even instructed the butler to fetch a larger baseball bat. Seeing that his older brother hadn't come to his rescue, but instead was preparing to use a bat to discipline him, the younger brother screamed for mercy, "Brother, I'm your own flesh and blood." Ignoring his brother's pleas, the elder chased him around the room, bat in hand, while Hak Qianqian, witnessing the scene, realized just how terrifying his sister-in-law truly was. Meanwhile, the butler took the opportunity to jot down a note in his ledger, already preparing to send the bill to the Wu family for repairing the living room. The argument between the two brats had finally been resolved. As everything came to an end, Han Qing waved her hand and said, "Everything is settled now, so I won't be seeing you two out." Turning to Hak Cham, she smiled and said, "By the way, thanks for what you did earlier, Hak Cham." After the two brothers from the Wu family left, Han Qing smiled and said, "Now that the outsiders are gone, it's time to deal with our own family matters." Hearing this, Hak Cham maneuvered his wheelchair and said, "Feel free." Hak Qianqian, already sweating, saw that his older brother had no intention of stopping anything. Feeling defiant, he said to Han Qing, "The troublemakers are gone, so why do you still want to hit me?" Han Qing coldly picked up the baseball bat, tapping it against her hand, and replied, "Sister-in-law is like a mother. So what if I hit you?" With that, she swung the bat at his hand. "This is because, as a member of the Hak family, you couldn't fight, couldn't argue, and even shamelessly crawled back home, letting others come here to disrespect you." Smack. She struck again. "This one's because you don't know how to respect your elders." "Who am I? What should you be calling me?" Another loud smack. "And this one's for your sloppy, disgraceful appearance, completely losing face. Remember this well, not everything is solved with your fists." Seeing that Han Qing had stopped hitting him, Hak Qianqian, now timid, asked shyly, "Sister-in-law, you're not hitting me anymore?" Han Qing smiled and responded, no more. We're family, not outsiders, so there's no need to keep hitting you. Wipe your tears and get ready for dinner. Though family was a common word, when Hak Qianqian heard his sister-in-law say it, he felt something different. In this family, it was rare for anyone to say such a thing. At that moment, he developed a sense of admiration for his new sister-in-law. The butler, having witnessed everything, went to report to Hak Cham. As soon as you left, Madam gave the third young master quite the beating, but it seems he wasn't upset. Upon hearing this, Hak Cham's expression softened slightly, no longer as cold as before. Later, Han Qing entered Hak Cham's room, smiling warmly as she said, "Bro Hak, I had Mrs. Chen cook some of your favorite dishes." As she spoke, she moved to push his wheelchair. "Let me take you downstairs for dinner." Contrary to her caring attitude, he coldly replied, "No need. I'm not hungry." Hak Cham's reaction made Han Qing laugh quietly to herself. This man may look mature, but the way he talks sounds just like a child throwing a petty tantrum. She leaned in close to him, her voice sweet and gentle as she said, "No, that won't do. When it's time to eat, the whole family should sit down together. This is my habit, and I hope that Hak will soon adopt it too, right?" She smiled as she asked him. Hak Cham looked at her smile, doubting, is she trying to coax a child? But how could any man refuse a beautiful, gentle woman like this? Seeing Han Qing push Hak Cham to the dining table, Hak Qianqian was astonished. A flood of questions surged in his mind. Did he get beaten too? Once they reached the table, Han Qing asked, "Where's the fifth sister?" The butler quickly replied, "The fifth miss usually eats in her room. Her room is on the 6th floor." Han Qing smiled and instructed the butler, "Wait until 6th young master comes home from school before bringing the food upstairs. I'll go call the fifth miss myself." She knew that the 6 Hak siblings were all half-siblings, sharing the same father but different mothers. Their personalities were naturally quite different, and she'd heard rumors that the fifth sister had a rather unfortunate childhood, resulting in her cold, unpredictable, and difficult nature. When Han Qing reached the door to her room, she heard the sound of a piano playing. As soon as she opened the door, the music stopped. 6th Mrs. face turned alarmed, and she said in a panicked voice, Don't come near me." At that moment, Han Qing realized that the 5th miss wasn't quite what the rumors had made her out to be. She approached gently, her tone warm and soothing. "Tiao Ning, don't be afraid. I'm your eldest brother's new wife. My name is Ruin Han Qing." In an attempt to be friendly and bridge the gap, Han Qing asked, "Just now, I heard you playing the piano. Was that the Swan by Charles Camille Saint-Saëns?" But as soon as Han Qing reached out to touch her, 6th miss recoiled in fear, frantically stammering, "Don't touch me." Han Qing was surprised and deeply curious. What could have happened to her? She thought. The reason she was like this was that, as a child, she had been kidnapped by the Hak family's enemies and tortured. By the time the Hak family found her, her father had died, and her mother had gone insane, leaving no one to care for her. On top of that, there had been another blow to her. When she was younger, she had performed at a party, but due to her fear and anxiety, her playing had been poor. As a result, she faced criticism, scolding, and harsh comments, leaving her with deep emotional scars. Since then, she had locked herself in her room. While she was shedding tears of despair, thinking no one could help her, Han Qing sat down beside her and played a short piano chord. Hearing the melody of the Swan, the piece she loved, she looked up at Han Qing. Han Qing smiled gently at her and said, "I only know this short part of the song. If you're willing, could you teach me the rest? You play beautifully, I really like it." The 5th miss, stunned for a moment, was taken aback that someone appreciated her playing. Han Qing stood up and continued, "I can hear a little pain in your music, but I'm ready to help you slowly soothe that pain, whether it takes years or decades. After all, we're family, aren't we?" Moved by those words, she smiled at Han Qing, and the two of them held hands as they walked downstairs together. As she walked, tears streamed down her face, and everyone turned to look at them. Third sibling wondered if the 5th sister had also been punished like him and elder bro. Just then, 6th young master, the youngest sibling, came home from school. When he learned that Han Qing was his sister-in-law, he respectfully greeted her, "Hello, sister-in-law." Aside from the 2nd sister, Hak Yuan Cho, who was missing, and the 4th sister, Hak Tian Tian, who was abroad, the whole Hak family was now present. Han Qing smiled warmly and said to 6th young master, "You must be the youngest Hak Shanglim, right? Go wash up, and then we'll have dinner." Hearing the word wash up, 3rd sibling, thinking that his sister-in-law might treat his younger brother the same way she had treated him and the 5th sister, quickly grabbed his brother's arm. "Hurry up! Go wash your hands fast, or you'll get punished." Han Qing couldn't help but think to herself, the people in the Hak family really are just like children. Hak Cham, noticing for the first time that the whole family was having a meal together, showed a rare expression of approval toward her. Little did he know that Han Qing also saw him as one of those children. The scene shifts to the next morning. Han Qing was having breakfast and mused to herself that the unexpected role of being the eldest sister-in-law wasn't so bad after all. She had thought that after being reborn, she would face challenges, but surprisingly, everything had gone smoothly. Moreover, the Hak family kids were much more lovable than she had imagined. Just then, sixth young master, the youngest, came rushing downstairs with his school bag. Han Qing called out to him, "Shang Lim, no need to chase after the school bus. Drink your milk first, and I'll have the housekeeper drive you to school." The boy was a little surprised, so she added, "If you don't like milk, I can ask Mrs. Tran to switch to soy milk for you tomorrow, okay?" Feeling touched by his sister-in-law's concern, he happily replied, "No. The milk is delicious." He quickly finished his glass and didn't forget to thank her. Next, Han Qing got up to serve porridge to Tiaoning. "I asked the kitchen to make you some pork liver porridge to help with your blood. Eat a bit more, okay?" Han Qing at this moment sighed, thinking that the people in the Hak family were really all children. Hak Chen saw that this was the first time everyone in this family had eaten together, revealing a face that seemed to praise her. But he did not know that he was also considered a child by Han Qing. Seeing this, third sibling looked at her expectantly. "What about me, sister-in-law? What do I get to eat?" But before she could answer, his phone rang, and a girl's voice came through. "Third sibling, where are you? Let's go out for drinks." Third Hak sibling's hair stood on end, and he quickly shouted into the phone, I'm not going. Wu-Yi, did you tell them to come over? How could someone as brilliant and talented as me hang out with you guys? I have to study today. I'm hanging up." He nervously glanced at Han Qing. But she just smiled kindly and said, "I'll make sure to prepare something special and personally deliver a gift to your school." Hearing this, third Hak sibling was thrilled, imagining that the gift might be a motorbike or even a luxury car. The morning passed quickly, and as they finished breakfast, Han Qing said to everyone, "Eat up, then off to school. I have some business to take care of at home today. Don't forget to take your lunchboxes." Everyone happily grabbed their lunchboxes, feeling cared for by their sister-in-law. The most surprised of all was Hak Cham, as he hadn't expected to get one too. As for the gift third Hak sibling had been eagerly awaiting at school, thinking it would be a motorbike or a supercar, he was shocked to discover it was study materials, which left him wailing, "Help me." The scene changes to when Han Qing returned to her grandmother's house. As soon as she walked in, she cheerfully shared stories about her new married life. "Grandma, look at these new clothes I bought. Yesterday, right after I moved in, he gave me a card and told me to spend as much as I wanted." Seeing that her granddaughter had a good marriage, her grandmother simply advised her, "If they treat you well, you should live in harmony with them." At that moment, Han Qing's childhood friend, Shenei, walked in, greeting both the grandmother and granddaughter warmly, holding a bag of groceries he'd just bought. He was ready to start cooking, and the atmosphere in the house was filled with joy and laughter. Suddenly, Han Qing glanced out the window and saw Xiao Bai, her childhood friend who had grown up alongside her. In her past life, after getting married, her friends had gradually distanced themselves due to her background. Later, Shenei, desperate for money, entered the entertainment industry, but at the age of 20, she suffered a miscarriage, was abandoned, and tragically took her own life by jumping from a building. Xiao Bai, after getting into fights and being framed, ended up in prison for several years. By the time he was released, the world around him had changed, and it was too late to undo the past. At that moment, she quickly turned and walked outside. Xiao Bai was leisurely smoking with a group of bad friends when he suddenly jolted upon hearing Han Qing call his name. With an angry expression, Han Qing asked, "Haven't I told you to quit smoking?" Xiao Bai, sweat pouring down his forehead in fear, could only stammer, "Han Qing, sister." The group of Xiao Bai's bad friends, noticing the beautiful girl, began to make crude comments. "Is she your friend, Xiao Bai? She's really hot. Take her out to play." Han Qing's demeanor turned sharp and cold as she replied, "It's you guys who will end up at the police station sooner or later. Stay away from Xiao Bai." One of the thugs, holding a baseball bat, pointed at Han Qing and shouted, "You dumb girl, how dare you talk like that? You think I'm going to show you mercy?" Furious, Han Qing grabbed the finger that was pointing at her. With a small crack, she kicked the thug, causing him to scream and fall backward. Seeing this, the rest of the group charged at Han Qing. But in no time, Han Qing and Xiao Bai had the thugs lying on the ground. After that, she called the police to arrest them. Turning to Xiao Bai with a stern and cold expression, she warned, "If you ever think about going down the wrong path again, don't blame me for breaking your legs. If you have nothing else to do, read more books." If you refuse to study properly, I'll be the first to send you to a reform school. That's what those guys will end up like. Xiaobai could only hug his head, trembling, and replied, I get it. I understand. Sister Han Qing, you're always right. Scene change. When Han Qing returned to the Hack family villa, she had just stepped inside when 3 younger siblings greeted her at the door. Seeing Han Qing coming home with a food box in hand, she told the butler, please help me heat this up a bit. The 3 siblings eagerly asked, Sister, what snack did you bring back? She smiled and held up the food box, saying, it's not a snack. I had some delays with certain things and didn't get to eat at Grandma's house, so I brought some food back. Do you all want some? After waiting all day, how could the 3 siblings refuse? Suddenly, she looked over at Hack Cham and asked, what about you? Have you been waiting long? He answered nonchalantly, no, it's fine. But a moment later, his stomach growled loudly, making him wish he could just disappear. Han Qing couldn't help but laugh at the man, who spoke one way but thought another. To please everyone who had been waiting for her, she said, if you all want to eat, then I'll make a few portions for you to try. The younger siblings laughed excitedly at this, looking forward to a meal prepared by their sister-in-law. Only 6th young master was a bit skeptical since he didn't think his sister-in-law knew how to cook. Outside, someone kept ringing the doorbell repeatedly. Han Qing walked to the door, wondering who could be so eager. When she opened it, she found a bouquet of fresh flowers in front of her. A man knelt with the flowers in hand and said, my beautiful Hack Madam. He was holding the bouquet as if proposing and continued, thank you, Hack Madam, for helping to educate my wayward younger brother. I hope you like this. Han Qing smiled and replied nonchalantly, Mr. Wu is quite generous. This gift of gratitude is too grand for me to accept. Hearing this, Wu smiled even wider, self-satisfied, and said, there's no one in this world who could handle it better than Hack Madam. She thought to herself, I really don't understand what he's thinking or where he gets his confidence from, daring to come to the family's doorstep and trying to undermine the head of the household like this? Despite Han Qing's implied rejection, Mr. Wu remained thick-skinned, smiling and flirting with her while proposing to take her out to dinner tomorrow night. Just then, a voice rang out from inside the house, if you want to eat, why not let me join you and Mr. Wu? It was Hack Cham, his face cold as he maneuvered his wheelchair closer to the two. He continued, I'll be ready to wait for Mr. Wu whenever. Hearing Hack Cham's words, which seemed to protect her, warmed Han Qing's heart, as it was the first time someone stood up for her. She crossed her arms and teased, Mr. Wu, when the time comes, the Hack family will definitely tidy up the guest room for you. See you then. Mr. Wu's expression changed, losing his earlier suave demeanor. He looked at the couple in front of him, one like a fierce deity, the other like a devil. He felt as if he were being double-teamed by this couple. Goodbye. Bang. That was the sound of the door slamming shut? Hack Cham, with a gentle face, sat in his wheelchair and turned slightly to Han Qing, saying, in the future, if something like this happens, you should come find me. After saying that, he turned away. Han Qing looked at him and smiled warmly, replying, okay. Later, Han Qing brought some medicine to Hack Cham's room. As she opened the door and stepped inside, she said, thank you for helping me out. Tonight, I heard from my assistant that it's time for you to take your medicine. He told her, just put it down there. She placed the medicine close to him and playfully teased, the water temperature is just right, Mr. Hack. You're not afraid of the bitter medicine, are you? Before he could answer her, the pain struck him. Seeing the agony on his face, she panicked and asked, are you okay? Are you feeling unwell? His assistant rushed in, saying, Madam, whenever he's in this much pain, he needs to take this. She grabbed the bottle of medicine, read the information, and angrily said, what have you been giving him? She knew that while this medication could relieve pain, it was highly addictive and harmful to the body. She spoke to him seriously, painkillers can only suppress the pain, they won't address the root cause of the illness. Furthermore, this medication is highly addictive. Long-term use is not good for your health. Mr. Hack, let's try to reduce the painkillers in the future and work on treatment, okay? Her hand rested on his, her tone earnest. You are the pillar of our family. You can't fall like this. Hearing her say our family, he seemed to brighten up and replied, all right. Upon hearing Han Qing mention the addictive properties of the medication, the butler looked somewhat bewildered and asked, how can it be addictive and harmful to the body? At that time, you invited the best specialist from the Tran family to prescribe the medication. Hack Cham explained that the specialists from the Tran family had concluded, I can only use painkillers to manage the pain in the future and take health supplements to support it. I don't want to struggle in vain. I just need to take a little pain medication to stay alive. However, he had not anticipated that someone's reach could extend this far. Recognizing that there were issues with the treatment results for Hack Cham, Han Qing remembered a very reputable clinic in Western Quarter and asked him, "Mr. Hack, would you be interested in experiencing a world for just the two of us tomorrow? We could do a lot of things together." Hack Cham didn't seem inclined to refuse. He smiled and replied, "If you're willing, then I'm more than happy to." At that moment, the butler grinned broadly at the change in Hack Cham. The next morning, Han Qing prepared to drive Hack Cham to his medical appointment, and her 3 younger brothers appeared eagerly asking to come along. She smiled and told them that she would definitely take them next time. While driving Hack Cham, Han Qing noticed someone was following them. She said, "It might be Chang Min." "From the Chang family?" "Yes, he's the son of the Hack family's aunt and currently the general manager representing the Hack Corporation. After I fell ill, he stands to gain the most." Han Qing smiled mischievously and declared, "I don't care if it's the Chang family, Li family, or Zhao family, no one can stop me from taking my husband for a checkup." To shake off their pursuers, she showcased her driving skills. Her husband was caught off guard, not knowing what she was planning. Moments later, she managed to lose the tail and brought him safely to the hospital. He sat in the car, a little dizzy from the thrilling ride, experiencing the smooth driving of his wife. Once they awaited the results of the health check, Han Qing asked, "Doctor, what are the results?" The young doctor, holding a pen and spinning it while smiling, replied, "It's treatable. A small surgery is needed, and if you take the medication on schedule and do your rehab properly, you'll be able to walk normally in the future." He looked at them and continued, "Why didn't you come here sooner? A small ailment prolonged has become a serious one. With all the designer brands you wear, I doubt money is an issue." Han Qing replied coldly, "Well, Dr. Gu, it seems you don't know that not every illness can be cured just by having money." At that moment, a nurse entered, breaking the awkward atmosphere. She brought the test results for the medication Hack Cham was taking. The doctor examined the results and said, "These medications can be replaced with antidepressants, which can make a person irritable, pessimistic, and depressed." Realizing that Hack Cham had suffered from depression in his previous life, Han Qing thought this might be related to his past struggles. She gently patted his head like a child, silently vowing that no one would harm her baby this time. Hack Cham placed his hand over hers and reassured her, "Don't worry, my wife, I'll handle this. As long as I'm here, everything will be fine." Receiving his concern, her lips curled into a smile as she replied, "I trust you, dear. Right now, the most important thing is to cooperate with the treatment." She knew that he had to be strong during this time, especially to avoid falling victim to anyone's schemes, particularly the Chang family. Both were concerned about each other but had their own thoughts. Neither was truly listening to the other as they ended up receiving unwanted romantic commentary from the doctor, who felt uncomfortable and suggested they go settle the bill. Wanting to avoid raising suspicions about their hospital visit, the couple decided to stop by a shopping mall. Han Qing joyfully shopped, and while choosing a tie, she turned to ask for his opinion. Hack Cham, now starting to understand the meaning of love, smiled happily and replied, "Whatever you choose, my lady, will look great." Seeing him react like a child in a playful mood made her cheeks blush slightly. Witnessing his wife's flustered reaction for the first time, Hack Cham couldn't help but chuckle with delight. Just as the atmosphere turned sweet and romantic, a comment cut through the moment. "Long time no see, cousin." Chang Yi, Hack Cham's cousin, chimed in, catching sight of them. Han Qing raised an eyebrow and asked, "Who is this girl?" Hack Cham made a face of disdain and replied, "Someone irrelevant, no need to pay attention to her." The girl, clearly annoyed, ground her teeth and exclaimed, "Cousin, why are you ignoring me? I've just got a doctor to help with your leg, and you can't even show me a little respect." Realizing who she was, Han Qing quickly asked, "So she's from the Chang family?" After receiving confirmation, an idea sparked in her mind. She turned to Hack Cham and said, "You wait here for a moment." Han Qing approached Chang Yi, introducing herself, "I'm your sister-in-law, Ruin Han Qing. I'm not familiar with this place, could you show me around?" Chang Yi, thinking she could take advantage of Han Qing's naivety, led her to the lipstick counter. She picked up a shade and handed it to Han Qing, saying sweetly, "Sister-in-law, this color is the trendiest among the elite this year." Han Qing responded, "Oh really?" Still pretending to be enthusiastic, Chang Yi said, "Aha." She leaned in closer with a bright smile, adding, "Would I lie to you, sister-in-law? It's normal for someone of your background to have never seen it before. Oh dear girl, don't get too cocky. You've poked the wrong bear." Han Qing smirked and swiftly grabbed Chang Yi's hand, pinning her down with one quick motion. With the lipstick in hand, she teased, "I think it looks beautiful. How about you try it on first?" Chang Yi was furious but trembling, stammering, "Let me go." Ignoring her protests, Han Qing applied the trendy lipstick to Chang Yi's lips. Laughter erupted among the store staff, enjoying the spectacle. Han Qing stepped back and smiled at Chang Yi, saying, "It really suits you. Don't worry, sister-in-law, I have no interest in competing for anyone's love. This lipstick is a gift for you." With that, she strode over to the cash register and presented her black card, saying, "Please charge the damaged items to Mr. Hack." The cashier's eyes widened with admiration as she looked at Han Qing, completely in awe of her confidence. Transitioning scenes, Chang Yi's brother and director Zhao are discussing the first public appearance of Hack Cham after the accident, where he affectionately holds his wife's hand and confidently strolls through the shopping mall. Director Zhao quickly replies, "It's their honeymoon, and Hack Madam is a beauty." Hearing this, Chang Min angrily throws a book to the floor, his face darkening as he says to him, "I didn't give that doctor's son a high salary just to watch my cousin flirt with his wife. When Hack Cham recovers, we will be the first to pay the price." Upon hearing this, Director Zhao's face pales, and beads of sweat pour down his forehead. Meanwhile, Chang Yi calls Chang Min to complain, "Brother, Ruin Han Qing is really too reckless. She embarrassed me in front of so many people. She's just so despicable." "Oh, so you cause trouble for others and still act innocent? She's just a poor woman. She doesn't understand the invisible killings of the upper class. It wouldn't be hard to find trouble for her, would it? People really are so malicious." Hearing this, Chang Yi's sister smiled cunningly and replied, "I understand now." Chang Min knew that initially, Hack Cham was just a newcomer in the business world, but as soon as he made his move, Hack Corporation's assets multiplied several times. He quickly became Hack General, someone in the upper class that no one dared to offend. Fortunately, he broke his leg and became quiet after that. The general director of their agency could finally have a chance to make a name for himself in Hack Corporation. Before Hack Corporation could change its name, they had to completely overthrow Hack Cham. At that moment, the atmosphere in the Hack family villa was lively as Han Qing brought gifts from the shopping mall for her younger siblings. They were all excited and thanked Han Qing profusely. Hack Cham spoke up, "Madam, old Master Gu has received a rare orchid and is holding a banquet, inviting Hack Corporation to attend. My condition is not suitable. This kind of family alliance banquet should be attended by you on behalf of the Hack family." Although she knew that there would be trouble at the banquet, she said to him, "If Mr. Hack has arranged it, then I will reluctantly take the younger ones to congratulate old Master Gu." Upon hearing that she would take the younger ones, all her siblings wanted to go. Especially 6th young master and 6th miss, asking to go. Unable to hold back, she told them she would take everyone, so they didn't have to fight over it. At that moment, her siblings were overjoyed. At the Gu family banquet hall, Chang Yi and 4th miss of the Hack family were chatting. Tian, I heard your sister-in-law is coming today too." "I don't have a sister-in-law. Who wants a woman from who knows where to be my sister-in-law? She's not worthy. Why did my older brother marry this poor woman? Doesn't he know the quality of people from there is the worst?" Hearing this, as everything went according to her plan, Chang Yi added, "Who says otherwise? I'm also embarrassed to mention her to others. Her rude behavior and entanglements with Wu General. It really doesn't suit her background." Hearing this, as everything went according to her plan, Chang Yi added, "Who says otherwise? I'm also embarrassed to mention her to others. Her rude behavior and entanglements with Wu General. It really doesn't suit her background." The hall suddenly buzzed with chatter. "Hack Madam has arrived, go quickly to see." "Hack Madam?" Chang Yi looked at 4th miss of the Hack family and said, Tian, your sister-in-law is here. So what if she's pretty? Aren't there enough decorative vases like her already? Just relying on her looks, she thinks she can climb into high society. Contrary to Chang Yi's expectations, upon seeing Han Qing, Tian no longer had the same attitude as before. "With this beauty and aura, she's not unworthy of my brother." Chang Yi, furious, asked, "You accept this woman as your sister-in-law now?" At that moment, Chang Yi suddenly had the intention to take action against Tian. Han Qing had just relaxed, thinking that this banquet was more peaceful than she had anticipated, when suddenly there was a loud crash. Everyone was buzzing, wondering what had happened. Someone exclaimed, "Old Master Gu's orchid vase has fallen and broken." "Hack Tian, what are you doing?" Knowing that it was 4th miss of the Hack family, Han Qing turned and headed towards the scene of the incident. Old Master Gu was shouting, "Is this the etiquette you people of Hack Jia have when you go out as guests?" Alongside him, some guests were discussing, "This natural mutant Su Guanhe Ding orchid, there's only one in the entire world. I've heard someone offered up to 1 billion for it. Everyone in City H knows that Grandfather Gu loves orchids the most. Not to mention, this orchid was personally cared for by Grandfather Gu." Tian looked at the orchid on the ground, panicking and explaining, No, someone pushed me, causing me to lose my balance and knock over the flower pot. Despite the explanation, old Master Gu was still furious and called for Hack Tian Tian to be taken outside. He stated, "From now on, our Gu family will no longer welcome guests from the Hack family." Realizing that her actions had brought trouble to the Hack family, Tian Tian sincerely apologized to him amidst the buzzing discussions, which held no goodwill toward the Hack siblings. Chang Yi showed no signs of sympathy. Instead, she laughed mockingly and added, "Tian Tian, do you have any idea how much trouble you've caused? You really don't understand. With you like this, I have no other way." Whether this girl was clever or just a bit dense was unclear. Everyone in City H knew about the close relationship between the Cheng family and the Hack family, yet in such a crowded place, she was enjoying Tian Tian's distress. Han Qing stood behind her, placing a hand on her shoulder and saying, "Excuse me. Could you turn your head this way a bit?" As she didn't understand what was happening, she turned back only to receive a slap from Han Qing that echoed loudly, "Smack." The force knocked her off balance, causing her to fall to the ground, holding her cheek where she had just been struck. Chang Yi looked at Han Qing and yelled, "The one in the wrong is Tian Tian. Why are you hitting me, ruin Han Qing? Are you out of your mind?" Han Qing replied, "The one who deserves to be hit is you. The Hack and Cheng families are blood relatives, and when your own family is in trouble, instead of protecting them, you find joy in their misfortune." Han Qing spoke as if threatening, "Apologize to Tian Tian right now." Having just met this sister-in-law for the first time, Tian Tian was moved to tears by her fierce protection. Although Han Qing was right, Chang Yi stubbornly retorted, "You hit me in front of everyone, why should I apologize? Ruin Han Qing, I'll fight you." After she finished speaking, Chang Yi lunged at Han Qing, but Han Qing had already taken down a group of 5 or 7 thugs on her own. Yet this girl was deliberately seeking trouble. At that moment, Han Qing's eyes flashed with a hint of malice as she said, "The Hack family has treated your Cheng family well. After the incident with Hack Cham, they trusted you even more and handed over Hack Corporation to your brother. Does Chang Min know how you treat the people of the Hack family outside? You're like a heartless, ungrateful wolf. Apologize now." As soon as she finished speaking, Han Qing kicked Chang Yi, knocking her down. Chang Yi was in pain and trembling from the impact. Knowing she couldn't compete with Han Qing, she weakly said, "I'm sorry, Tian Tian." Han Qing wouldn't let it end like that. She looked at Chang Yi and asked, "Miss Cheng, do you only remember to eat white rice, or is your throat so sore that you have to speak like a mosquito?" Feeling oppressed but unable to do anything about it, Chang Yi gritted her teeth and submissively looked up at Hack Tian Tian, saying, "Tian Tian, I'm sorry, it's my fault." Just as she finished speaking, old Master Gu interrupted the girl's argument by tapping his cane on the ground and said, "All right, your family matters have been resolved. The Gu family temple is too small to accommodate the great Buddhas of the Hack family, so please return." In her past life, Zhong family taught Han Qing how to treat orchids to ingratiate herself with the Gu family. Later, Zhong family became the replacement for Hack Corporation. In the end, she became useless, leading to a tragic outcome. To ease the atmosphere, Han Qing stood up on behalf of the Hack family to apologize to old Master Gu. Acknowledging that the Hack family needed to take responsibility, she bent down to pick up the fallen orchid and looked at old Master Gu, saying, "I have been trained in orchid care. I'm willing to treat this orchid. Give me 3 months, and if I can't return to you an intact orchid, Hack Corporation is willing to pay whatever price satisfies you, old Master Gu." "This is not an ordinary flower," old Master Gu exclaimed, "you're speaking arrogantly." Suddenly, a voice from behind interrupted, "Grandpa. Since Hack Madam has said so, let her give it a try. We won't lose anything." Old Master Gu's grandson was also the doctor who had examined Hack Cham. "Humph, if my grandson is willing to speak on your behalf, then I will give you 3 months. Han Qing wanted to clarify the situation, so she replied, "Thank you, old Master Gu, but this matter isn't settled yet. I want to check the surveillance cameras to see who has the audacity to bully the people of the Hack family like this." Chang Yi, feeling guilty, hurriedly said, "Who do you think you are to demand to see anything here?" Han Qing grasped Chang Yi's chin, her expression slightly mischievous, and said, "Oh, why are you so agitated? Are you scared because you pushed me?" Chang Yi shoved Han Qing's hand away, angrily responding, "That's ridiculous." At that time, Hack Tian Tian was standing very close to the orchid pot, even on tiptoe. Anyone passing by could have knocked her over. "What basis do you have to say it was me?" Han Qing smirked, "The more you talk, the more flaws you reveal. Who gets so agitated if they're truly innocent like you claim?" At this moment, Tian Tian questioned, "How do you know I was on tiptoe at that time? If you weren't always hovering around me, how could you possibly see my posture? You're my cousin, why would you want to harm me?" Outside, the guests were pointing, laughing, and looking down on Chang Yi, despite her desperate attempts to justify herself. Chang Yi bowed her head and glanced at Han Qing and Tian Tian, catching Han Qing's cold gaze. She said, "Don't come here, sister-in-law. You've already beaten me up, what more do you want? May I ask everyone watching here, should we let her go? The grievances I've suffered so far have been so unjust." As soon as Tian Tian finished speaking, she delivered a powerful slap to Chang Yi's face, as if striking from the heavens. "I, the fourth lady of the Hack family, and you, a Chang, dare to turn the world upside down." Old Master Gu's grandson was also furious. He looked at Chang Yi and said, "Please escort this Miss Chang outside. From now on, the Gu family will not welcome you or anyone from the Chang family at our events." At this moment, the ladies and gentlemen present at the banquet began to approach Han Qing, each using flowery words to try to befriend her. Surrounded by so many people, Han Qing started to feel a bit tired. The fifth lady of the Hack family also looked somewhat anxious. During the banquet, the sound of music played, mingling with the chatter of the guests. It was said that Master Yuan was here tonight to take on disciples. Upon hearing the news about the recruitment of disciples, the longing in the fifth lady's eyes was evident. The crowd began to tease. One person spoke up, "I heard that the fifth lady of the Hack family loves playing the piano. It's not every day you get such an opportunity, why don't you give it a try and play a piece? Who knows, you might get accepted as a disciple by Master Yuan." Another person chimed in, "Ha ha, you know how to joke too well." The fifth lady was still shy and didn't dare to respond. Seeing this, the fourth lady of the Hack family stepped in to help. "You're intentionally stirring up trouble, aren't you? Aren't you afraid my sister-in-law will deal with you?" Those troublemakers weren't willing to back down and continued to provoke. "Let that girl go on stage and play. She won't be trembling and crying, will she?" Another person chimed in, "Master, you accepting that girl? Why not accept me instead?" Not wanting the malicious words to upset the fifth lady, Han Qing interjected, "Do you really think Master Yu accepts disciples just to see who can belittle others more?" The music suddenly stopped. Master Yu looked toward Han Qing and praised her. "Very true. Useless arguments only ruin the music. Tonight, everyone will have a chance to perform on stage. I accept disciples based on the sound of their playing." Master Yu then turned to the fifth lady and asked, "Do you want to give it a try?" The fifth lady was taken aback by Master Yu's question. Knowing that she was shy and afraid to stand in front of a crowd, Han Qing reassured her, "Tiao Ning, don't worry. I'll go on stage with you. Sister-in-law believes in you. No matter how unkind the words may be, all you need is me by your side." The girl smiled happily and then stepped onto the stage with Han Qing. To ease Tiao Ning's anxiety, Han Qing continued to encourage her, "Don't look at them, and don't worry about their reactions. Just focus on the keys and play from your heart. The others don't matter." The sound of Tiao Ning's music filled the air, receiving much praise from everyone. Her performance was like a slap in the face to the earlier malicious remarks. After finishing, she was overjoyed to receive an invitation to become a disciple of Master Yu. At the Hack family home, the siblings were celebrating the fifth lady's success, but the fourth lady was in her room, being lectured by Hack Cham. "You don't know how to distinguish between enemies and allies, and you're completely unprepared. Do you really think sister-in-law and the Hack family can protect you for life?" Hack Cham said sternly. The fourth lady remained silent, not daring to refute him. Just then, Han Qing opened the door and walked in. She smiled and gently said, "Brother Hack should trust me. Protecting the children for life is not impossible." Hack Cham looked at Han Qing with a deep, gentle gaze. "Hasn't the mistress already sheltered the children too much?" Han Qing approached him, stroking his cheek as if comforting a child. "We are family, after all. Not just the children, even you are someone I need to protect." The fourth lady seized the opportunity to sneak out of the room to avoid further lecturing from her older brother. Seeing how Han Qing treated him, Hack Cham gently took her hand and smiled knowingly. He pulled her into his embrace and teased, making Han Qing blush, "Are you trying to turn me into a child, my lady? Have you forgotten that I'm not just a grown man, but also your husband?" He pulled her onto his lap and softly said, "You can rely on me a bit more." At first, Han Qing felt a bit shy, but after a moment, she quickly adapted to the situation, responding with affectionate gestures and a sweet voice. "In that case, I humbly obey." Hack Cham reminded her, "Don't overwork yourself." In the atmosphere of the loving couple exchanging intimate words and gestures, the fourth lady felt she couldn't just stand by. Despite not wanting to interrupt the romantic moment, she had to interject, "Sister-in-law, there's a problem with the orchid." Han Qing's expression turned serious as she recalled her past experiences. "Fourth sister, don't worry. I'll think of a way," she reassured her. The fourth lady anxiously replied, "I just came to watch. I didn't expect things to turn out like this. What do we do now, sister-in-law? Han Qing pondered for a moment. Do you think we should act like in our past lives and seek out the old man to beg for that ancient book on nurturing orchids? We don't know if the timeline has changed after being reborn, but we shouldn't delay this matter. After that, Han Qing decided to quickly run over there to check the situation. She knew that everything needed to be resolved before it got worse. The fourth miss also felt anxious, but her confidence in her sister-in-law's abilities gave her more motivation. After Han Qing left, Xiaobai came to find Hak Cham. He saw Hak Cham sitting by the window, his expression cold. A servant came to announce, "Mr. Hak, there's a man at the door looking for the lady, but she is not home right now." Hak Cham replied, "I know. Bring him in." Xiaobai sat on the sofa, and Hak Cham drove the car in front of him, coldly asking, "Who are you? Why are you looking for my wife?" Faced with Hak Cham's tough attitude, Xiaobai replied loudly, "Sister Han Qing married into the Hak family, not sold to them. We are friends, can't I come to visit her?" Hak Cham frowned and said, "My wife went to the west of city early this morning. If there's anything, just tell me, and I'll pass it on to her." Xiaobai was startled and panicked. Sister Han Qing went to the west of city? Those Li guys will definitely look for her to get revenge. What exactly happened? Before, Sister Han Qing stood up for me and fought them, even sending them to the police station. We can't let this continue. Hak Cham looked at Xiaobai, realizing the situation was serious. For now, we need to find her first. Then we can talk, he said with certainty, ready to take action to protect Han Qing. In the west of city, Han Qing walked down the street, feeling unhappy. She was worried about the missing book, wondering if it was a butterfly effect caused by her rebirth. Suddenly, she heard someone calling her name loudly, "Sister Han Qing." Looking up, Han Qing recognized Xiaobai approaching with a worried expression. "Are you okay?" he asked. Han Qing was surprised to see Xiaobai with Hak Cham. "Why are you and Mr. Hak here?" Xiaobai just smiled brightly, as if showcasing an achievement. "I heard about the orchid incident, so I went to borrow this book from Uncle for you to read." "How thoughtful, thank you for helping me so much," Han Qing replied gratefully. Suddenly, two dogs rushed toward Han Qing. Instinctively, Xiaobai quickly grabbed Han Qing's hand, pulling her back and standing between her and the two dogs. Hak Cham, seeing Xiaobai holding his wife's hand, felt angry. His face was cold, and his gaze was fixed on Xiaobai's hand gripping Han Qing's. "Mr. Bai, please be mindful. Don't overstep," he said in a cold voice, his presence causing even the steward to feel uneasy. Xiaobai couldn't hold back and retorted angrily, "Mr. Hak, don't you know that Sister Han Qing is afraid of dogs? When we were young, I was the one who protected her from dogs chasing her, just like back then and now." Han Qing stood between them, feeling the tension in the air and helpless to resolve the conflict between the two. She knew both were worried about and cared for her, but this situation was truly not easy. Neither man was willing to back down, all over a dog. Han Qing found the situation awkward. She couldn't understand how such a small issue could cause tension between them. Xiaobai, in a puppy-like mood, looked at Han Qing and said, "I've given you the book, and you're fine. I'll take my leave now." Han Qing smiled and gently patted Xiaobai's head, which made him beam proudly at Hak Cham. After Xiaobai left, Hak Cham turned his head towards Han Qing and asked, "You and he seem very close." "Yes," Han Qing replied. "I grew up with Xiaobai and Shenei, so we consider each other family." She reminisced about the joyful memories of playing together as children, feeling warm inside. "You've had a reputation since you were young, haven't you?" Hak Cham looked at her, asking with curiosity. "Not really," Han Qing replied. "I just used reasoning to persuade people." But she knew her reasoning could sometimes be a bit blunt. Hak Cham became even more curious. "Then could you tell me more about these things? I want to learn more about you." Feeling the warmth in Hak Cham's gaze, Han Qing felt a sense of comfort. "I'll tell you about this," she said, beginning to share memories with Xiaobai and Shenei, as well as the reasons they had been close since childhood. As Han Qing enjoyed the moment with Hak Cham, a loud shout came from a group of thugs. "Isn't that the one who beat up Brother Li?" Instantly, the thugs charged towards them, determined to take revenge for their comrade. Hak Cham looked at Han Qing with concern, sensing the tense atmosphere. "Is the old quarter really that dangerous?" "Let me help you," he said. But Han Qing just smiled, knowing that her husband didn't realize she was a true force to be reckoned with. She stepped toward the group of thugs, holding a baseball bat with determination in her eyes. In no time, the thugs were beaten badly, unable to resist. "Did you dare to provoke me?" she said. The thugs' cries rang out, while Hak Cham and his assistant watched from the outside, beads of sweat forming on their foreheads. His assistant couldn't help but say, "Mr. Hak, remember to obey your wife from now on." After defeating the thugs, Han Qing turned to Hak Cham, confidently saying, "Now I'm taking you guys out for a reunion meal with your boss." She approached him, and Hak Cham gently took a cloth to wipe her hands, holding her hand tightly. "Madam is truly exceptional," Hak Cham said sincerely. "From investments to orchids to martial arts, I wonder what surprises you'll bring me in the future." Just then, Han Qing received a call from the school. "Parent of Hak Lim, we believe this child seems to have some issues. We would like to speak with the parents. We hope you can come to the school as soon as possible." The joy she felt moments ago suddenly vanished, and Han Qing felt worried. "What's wrong with Shang Lim?" she asked, looking at Hak Cham and sensing his concern. The teacher handed Han Qing a drawing and said, "Parent of Hak Lim, I feel the issue lies in his psychology." Han Qing was surprised. She had thought Shang Lim had no major problems. But upon reflection, she realized that the boy's family situation might affect his mental state. Mr. Hak is a playboy with ambitions, surrounded by countless women. Hak Shang Lim is just a product of a one-night stand. Living in this decaying wealthy environment, with such parents who are indifferent and neglectful, how could there not be issues? Contrary to the boy's thoughts, Han Qing looked at Shang Lim and asked, "Shang Lim, do you want to show me your painting room for a bit?" Shang Lim was surprised and asked, "Aren't you going to scold me?" Hak Cham, standing beside them, comforted him. "Why would I scold you? You haven't done anything wrong." He and Han Qing followed Shang Lim to the painting room. The boy chose a painting and introduced it. "This is a beast man. Everyone thinks he shouldn't live in this world, that the whole world despises him and tells him to die. He hates this world." "I'm sorry. Did I paint something very ugly?" Shang Lim asked, looking worried. Han Qing replied, "Your idea is very unique. But would you mind if I added a few strokes to it?" Shang Lim was surprised when his sister-in-law took the brush from his hand and added a few strokes to the gloomy painting. She didn't talk about the subject of the painting, but instead shared painting techniques with him to make his artwork sharper. Even his older brother was watching the actions of both him and Han Qing attentively. Poor Shang Lim had been living like a lost soul for a long time. Compared to his mother, who only cared about money and men, his sister-in-law felt like a compassionate Madonna to him. For the first time, he experienced a sense of protection and happiness like never before. After leaving her younger brother's art room, Han Qing and her husband went to the area where Lord Gu's rare orchid was being cared for. She was engrossed in reading the guidebook on orchid care that Xiao Bai had borrowed for her. Combined with what she had learned in her past life about tending to plants, when that man from the Zhong family used her as a pawn to win favor with Lord Gu, Han Qing expertly handled the issues of the delicate orchid. Hak Cham sat there, looking at his wife who paid him no attention, and appeared extremely displeased. He muttered to himself that he wasn't happy about the orchid coming back to life. Han Qing wondered what was wrong with him, suddenly being upset about her saving Lord Gu's precious orchid. Wasn't that supposed to solve the Hak family's problem? "Ha ha, the boss is getting jealous, girl." "That's right, madam, I have one more task," he said. "After the car accident, the Hak family has been quiet for a long time. Please prepare a family dinner to liven up the atmosphere again." "Okay, I'll make a list and show it to you," Han Qing replied. "And also, it's not that I'm easily swayed, but it's that you're too welcomed, which makes me feel threatened," Hak Cham said, causing Han Qing to look confused, her eyes wide and mouth agape, not understanding what he meant.